Hey guys, welcome back to the Conservative Core, where our goal is to shine a light on the ridiculousness of the left. If you are tired of the lies the media is spilling, consider hitting the subscribe button, notification button, and like button. Also, if you are voting for Trump, let me know in the comments below. Folks, we've got another classic moment from the Biden and Harris administration's press briefing, and it's a perfect example of what's wrong with the way this White House operates. If you haven't seen it yet, Doocy from Fox News asked a simple question about Kamala Harris suddenly adopting a Southern accent in her recent appearances, and the reaction is truly priceless. Let's run the clip.
A different topic. Since when does the Vice President have what sounds like a Southern accent?
Better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. And you all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well,
I mean, this is...
she was talking about unions in Detroit using one tone of voice.
Is this something that
same
you think...
line.
Okay, Peter.
That she used the same line in Pittsburgh, and it sounded like she at least had some kind of a Southern drawl.
I mean, do you hear the question that you're... I mean, do you think Americans seriously think that this is an important question? They care... You know what they care about? They care about the economy. They care about lowering costs. They care about health care. That's what Americans care about.
So,
that's what they want to hear.
This is something...
They care about, your colleague just asked me about, what basically we talked about, went back and forth about democracy and freedom. That's what they care about. I'm not even going to entertain some question about the president. It's just, hearing it sounds so ridiculous.
Well, but hearing it is...
The question, I'm talking about the questions is just insane.
Is that how she talks in meetings here?
I'm just, Peter, we're moving on. We're so moving on.
Karine Jean-Pierre is visibly flustered. She dismissed the question as insane and seemed more interested in shutting down the conversation than addressing it, because we all know this accent is just ridiculous and all an act. This is a perfect example of how the administration avoids genuine accountability and questions that might reflect poorly on them. Everyone can see that this accent is just another way Kamala is showing how fake she is. But let's get real for a second. The fact that Kamala Harris thought she could just throw on a Southern accent out of nowhere is nothing short of ridiculous. I mean, we can see how fake it is when she goes to a new city just a few hours later, and it sounds like she always does, with no accent. I mean, just listen to this. This first video here is Kamala Harris speaking in Detroit.
You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time. Because what we know.
And now this next one was Kamala in Pittsburgh just a few hours after that video from above.
Thank unions for sick leave. Thank unions for paid family leave. Thank unions for your vacation time.
It's as if she believes that by mimicking a Southern accent, she can somehow connect better with certain audiences. But here's the thing. This kind of pandering is not only painfully obvious, it's also incredibly condescending. It's as if she thinks people won't notice, or worse, that they'll actually buy into this cheap tactic, but we all know better. This isn't just a cringe moment, it's emblematic of a broader issue. When politicians start altering their accents depending on who they're speaking to, it raises serious questions about their authenticity. It's like watching a bad actor try to improvise, and the result is just embarrassing. Kamala Harris's attempt to sound Southern is so transparent and forced that it's almost hard to watch. It screams desperation, as if she's trying to be everything to everyone, but in doing so, she comes across as nothing to anyone. And let's be honest, it's not just about the accent. This whole situation reflects a deeper problem within this administration. If they can't even be genuine about something as simple as how they speak, how can we trust them to be genuine about anything else? The American people are tired of the phoniness, the pandering, and the lack of real leadership. They want leaders who are authentic and consistent, not ones who change their tune, literally whenever it suits them. And she is already doing just that. Kamala Harris is consistent about being a flip-flopping on major issues. Let's start with fracking. Take a listen.
When you were in Congress, you supported the Green New Deal. And in 2019, you said, quote, "There is no question I'm in favor of banning fracking." Fracking, as you know, is a pretty big issue, particularly in your must-win state of Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020.
But here is the thing. In that same interview, Kamala tells us just who she truly is. And minutes later, Kamala Harris says in the same interview, "My values have not changed."
The most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed.
Back in 2019, during the Democratic primaries, Harris was adamant about banning fracking. She made it a cornerstone of her environmental platform, appealing to the progressive base. Fast forward to 2024, and suddenly she's singing a different tune, or at least she is trying to make it seem like she is. Now, she doesn't want to ban fracking, so she is trying to align herself with a more moderate stance, but we need to take her word for it. I mean, just minutes later, she said her values have not changed. And this is how she really feels.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yeah, and starting with what we can do on day one around public lands, right? And then there has to be legislation. But yes, and this is something I've taken on in California. I have a history of working on this issue. And to your point, we have to just acknowledge that the residual impact of fracking is enormous in terms of the impact on the health and safety of communities.
This isn't just a change of heart. It's a complete 180 and proves that she will literally say anything to anyone in order to try and get their vote. She is a phony. And it's not just fracking. Even CNN can't ignore her flip-flopping. Dana Bash pointed out on live TV that Kamala Harris has reversed herself on a number of critical issues. Heck, take a listen.
In the 2020 primary, the vice president praised the defund the police movement, and now she says she doesn't support defunding the police. She called for decriminalizing crossing the border illegally. Now she supports President Biden's policies for clamping down at the border. She supported Medicare for all at one point, eliminating private insurance, and her campaign says she doesn't support that now. She's reversed herself on a fracking ban. What do you think that voters should think when she's reversed herself on several issues just in the last 4 years?
I think that voters should think that she's a human being who learns new things every single day and has the ability to take the time and effort to hear the concerns of all people. I think that they should be certain that she is a fighter and a leader who's going to do the work on their behalf to ensure that there is an economy that ensures that no one is left behind, that there is a climate, that we're going to continue to address the climate crisis in a way that ensures that there is an earth here for young people and for next generations of leaders. I think that they should absolutely believe that she is a leader who cares about people and who's going to put them first, as she has done her entire career.
So no concern about flip-flopping?
No concern about flip-flopping.
It is actually insane. Take her stance on defund the police back in 2020, Harris was quick to praise this movement, which, let's be honest, was a deeply divisive and highly controversial topic. Many people felt that the push to defund police departments was extreme and lacked practical solutions for the real issues. It was a stance that alienated a significant portion of voters and, more importantly, failed to address the complexities of policing reform. So what did Harris do when it became clear that the movement was not resonating well with the broader electorate? She did what any politician does when they backed a losing horse. She distanced herself from it. Now she's trying to act like she never really supported defunding the police in the first place. And this pattern continues with her views on other major issues. On immigration, she supported decriminalizing illegal border crossings, a stance that we have seen become an absolute disaster. Now she's backpedaling and supporting stricter border enforcement policies, and heck, there are even reports coming in that she is for finishing the border wall. And when you have sites like Axios calling you out, you know it is bad. Again, it's about shifting with the political winds rather than sticking to a consistent, principled stance. And let's not forget Medicare for all. Remember when she was all about eliminating private insurance? Let's take a listen.
Just to follow up on that, and correct me if I'm wrong, to reiterate, you support the Medicare for All bill, I think initially co-sponsored by Senator Bernie Sanders. You're also a co-sponsor on it. I believe it will totally eliminate private insurance. So for people out there who like their insurance, they don't get to keep it?
Well, listen, the idea is that everyone gets access to medical care. And you don't have to go through the process of going through an insurance company, having them give you approval, going through the paperwork, all of the delay that may require. Who of us has not had that situation where you got to wait for approval and the doctor says, well, I don't know if your insurance company is going to cover this? Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on. I want to give credit to Bernie. Take credit, Bernie. You know, you brought us this far in Medicare for All. I support Medicare for All. I always have.
Now, not only is this terrible, but here is the real kicker. By now, we know Kamala Harris's performance as border czar left much to be desired and has been an FCI failure. The border continued to see high levels of illegal crossings and a chaotic situation that did little to improve under her watch. Her inaction and failure to advocate for substantial reforms meant that the issues persisted, leaving many Americans frustrated and concerned about the state of border security. But then, when you hear her say this, it really is a bad look.
Be addressed.
The bill also says, quote, every individual who is a resident of the United States is entitled to benefits for health care services under this act. Not every individual who's a citizen, but every individual who's a resident. So you support giving universal health care, Medicare for all, to people who are in this country illegally?
Let me just be very clear about this. I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being from access to public safety, public education, or public health, period.
And again, we have to take what she said in her latest interview. Her values have not changed. At the end of the day, Kamala Harris's flip-flopping and her cringe-worthy attempts at pandering show a lack of authenticity and conviction. The American people deserve leaders who stand firm in their beliefs and who don't change their stance based on what's politically convenient at the moment. This kind of behavior erodes trust, and that's something this administration can't afford to lose any more of, but it doesn't seem like they care anymore. Well, that's all I got for this one. Thanks for watching. And make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and like this video for more conservative news daily. See you in the next one.